The hour, but we start with our top story today. And the United Nations has warned that Gaza remains in urgent need of humanitarian aid despite recent aid deliveries. UN Humanitarian Chief Tom Fletcher urged Israel to immediately open more crossings into the famine-stricken enclave to allow thousands of aid trucks to enter. He added that 190,000 metric tons of food and medical supplies are waiting at the borders, but current deliveries fall far short of what is needed to avert a humanitarian catastrophe. According to reports, since the October the 10th ceasefire, the UN and partners have delivered 37,000 metric tons of aid, reaching around 1 million people. However, access remains limited to just 2 crossings, while northern Gaza and non-government organization personnel still faced restrictions. UN spokesperson Farhan Haq stressed that urgent needs still remain intense and impotence to aid are slowing relief efforts. We're now joined by Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at the Hudson Institute and he joins us live from Tokyo in Japan. Now, of course, Dr. Nagao, this ceasefire has been in effect since October the 10th. And what the first phase does state is the free flowing of aid, humanitarian aid, into the enclave of Gaza. However, free flowing in theory has not been happening in practice. Of course, only 2 crossings remain open, and some sources state that only 1/6 of the aid needed to get into the enclave is being let in. Why is this aid still being restricted, and how?
Of course, the number of the open gate is a way to limit the flow of the material. That is true. But at the same time, there is a risk that if Israel opens all of the gates, so that's why they worry about this, I think. Firstly, because if all of the gate will open, and many material will go to the Gaza, of course, there is a possibility Hamas smuggle the weapon or other material for the military purpose they can get through this flow of the material. And if the flow of the material is too much, it is impossible to check all of the details. So that's why the limited gate and the flow is limited is legitimizable. But at the same time, the view from the situation, indeed, even if the 2 gates, indeed, huge material has already entered this area. So why this hasn't delivered all sides of the Gaza? Because the transportation inside of the Gaza itself has already destroyed. And at the same time, law and order situation inside of the Gaza is already destroyed. So okay. That's why even if the material enters the Gaza, some looting has happened, or people who live near the gate get all of the material, and this material will not going to the deep inside of the Gaza. That is a problem, I think. So okay. How to deliver is indeed matter. So international, multinational force, if they deploy in the deep inside of the Gaza, start to govern, the situation will improve, even if the gate is number of the gate is limited.
Yeah, but Dr. Nagao, Tom Fletcher, the UN humanitarian chief, has said that 190,000 metric tons of food and medical supplies are waiting at the borders. Of course, this ceasefire deal calls for the free flow of aid. Israel seemingly has not been adhering to letting that happen. What does that say about the current state of the ceasefire and also, of course, the international response to that?
Of course, there's a possibility it is true, but at the same time, the UN attitude last some years indicated that they are not completely neutral. So that's why if the United Nations say that this is a material they prepared and not going to the Gaza and this is safe material, it is very difficult to identify this is really the neutral information. And so that's why, for example, some of the member could be the Hamas cooperatives, something. So in this case, they can smuggle, even if the leadership of the United Nations do not intend to do that. So that's why the gate is limited, security is needed. It's one logical thing of the military operation is understandable. And at the same time, in this case, the negotiation process is also important. Hamas hasn't returned all the dead hostages. So that's why this is the situation, a little bit delay the process. So in this case, even if in the plan there's a possibility that they are planning, originally they are planning to open, but because of the process is delaying, the opening itself is delaying, could happen. So that's why if this process should be more faster. Of course, in this case, negotiation itself should be negotiation process should be faster, and after that it will slow. International multinational forces, if start to deploy in this area, and instead of the Hamas, they try to deliver the food. Or in this case, maybe situation will improve drastically. In this case, the second stage is very important, and as soon as possible, it should enter the second stage, I think.
Yes, Dr. Nagal, do stay with us as we have further updates coming out